Number 8. Juan Carlos Escote Alviares. On March the 12th of 2022, billionaire heir Juan Carlos Escote Alviares was taking part in a fishing competition off the coast of Key Largo, Florida. 31-year-old Alviares, son of Venezuelan bank founder Juan Carlos Escote Rodriguez, was joined in the fishing tournament by his fiancée, Andrea Montero. During the trip, the 30-year-old woman was holding onto her rod, trying to reel in a fish when the 60-foot boat started reversing. Montero fell in the ocean and suffered a head injury, but the crew was successful in pulling her from the water. The vessel then swiftly made its way to shore. Upon her return to the exclusive Ocean Reef Club, Montero was approached by Sergeant Robert Dosh from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. He asked her if she remembered what had happened, and, still confused, Montero assured him that she would be all right. As captured by Dosh's body cam, the woman became distressed upon learning the tragic course of events that had occurred after she'd fallen in the water and hurt her head. In the immediate aftermath of Montero falling overboard, Alviares had jumped to her rescue while the boat was still reversing. The woman had slipped past the propeller's blades, but her fiancé was caught by them and fatally cut up. Michael Miltz, a charter boat skipper who was on the boat at the time of the accident, jumped after Alviares. When speaking to Dosh, Mills reportedly began crying upon recounting the unrecoverable condition in which he'd found the billionaire heir upon reaching him. Number 7. Harry Swardy. In the early hours of January the 1st of 2018, Englishman Harry Swardy and several of his friends were celebrating the new year at a holiday lodge near Porthleven, a town that represents Britain's most southerly port. The 27-year-old teaching assistant and 3 friends decided to punctuate their celebrations by skinny dipping in the ocean as an entry point. They chose the Swell Off Low Bar, a remote beauty spot where multiple signs advised people not to get in the water. The sea in the area would have been dangerous to swim on a calm day, since it's subjected to the full force of southwesterly winds blowing from the Atlantic. At the time, however, conditions were among the worst that had ever been reported, as Storm Hercules was about to wreak havoc on the North Atlantic. Swardy and 3 of his friends took their clothes off and ran into the water. Within moments, they were struck by 2 strong waves, which knocked them off their feet. Swardy's friends managed to scramble back to the beach as they were still in shallow water, but Swardy was swept out in the whitewash. A massive rescue operation was launched and lifeboats fruitlessly battled the surf searching for him. Swardy's lifeless body was found washed up on a nearby beach the following morning. It was identified by a forearm tattoo of the word freedom. A post-mortem examination discovered that before drowning, Swardy had suffered a broken neck, as well as multiple abrasions to the head and body. No drugs or alcohol were detected in his system, and the death was recorded as the result of injuries consistent with immersion in rough seas. Number 6. Christy Manzanares. On July the 25th of 2017, passengers and crew aboard the Emerald Princess cruise ship were in the midst of a murder mystery night. While the vessel was traveling to Alaska, confusion ensued when at around 9 p.m. it emerged that a real murder had occurred. Utah man Kenneth Manzanares and his wife Christy, both aged 39, had been arguing in their cabin. The woman reportedly told her husband that she wanted a divorce and that she was going to get off the ship when it reached Juneau. The couple were on the cruise with their 3 daughters and extended family members. During the fight, Kenneth told 2 of their children to leave the cabin and locked the door behind them. He then brutally attacked Christy, striking her repeatedly in the head with his closed fists. Relatives in an adjoining cabin heard the woman's screams, resulting in Christy's father and 2 brothers eventually reaching the room through a connected balcony. They stopped Kenneth as he was allegedly on the verge of throwing his unconscious wife overboard. Shortly thereafter, the Emerald Princess's security and medical staff arrived at the scene and performed life-saving measures on the battered woman, but they couldn't revive her. It would later be determined that she'd succumbed to blunt force trauma to the head. In the immediate aftermath, Kenneth told the ship's security that Christy wouldn't stop laughing at him. During the ensuing legal proceedings, his defense would claim that the attack had stemmed from an undiagnosed brain injury and mood disorder, exacerbated by the combination of alcohol and prescription drugs. The prosecution argued it had been deliberate, pointing to the fact that Kenneth had cleared the room before beating his wife to death. Eventually, following a plea deal for second-degree murder, Kenneth was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. Number 5. Daniil Gagarin and Emma Monkonen. Russian man Daniil Gagarin and Emma Monkonen from Finland were exploring Lazora Cove in the resort city of Toravia in September of 2021. 30-year-old Gagarin and Monconen were both fitness trainers, and they worked together at a center in the Spanish municipality. Gagarin's wife, Daria, was with them during the day out, and she filmed Monconen leaping from a cliff into the raging white water below. The 24-year-old was swiftly battered by waves against the cliff and couldn't get out. Gagarin and Daria tried guiding her to safety, but the young woman was still struggling, prompting the former to jump in the sea to her rescue. Daria, who'd continued recording on her cell phone, captured the moment when her husband had managed to pull himself and Monconen on a rock. Waves continued to crash over them as they desperately clung to it, but unfortunately, the pair were eventually swept out to the open Mediterranean as Daria cried out helplessly. Monconen's lifeless body was recovered a few miles away, while Gagarin's was found the following day. Number 4. Lindsay Partridge. In March of 2022, New Hampshire woman Lindsay Partridge was vacationing with her boyfriend, 24-year-old Jacob Smith, in Boca Raton, Florida. As part of their romantic getaway, the couple was on a boat roughly 150 yards offshore. They were traveling north a quarter mile from the Boca Inlet when a rogue wave washed over the vessel. 22-year-old Partridge, who minutes earlier had uploaded a video of the trip to her social media, was swept into the ocean. Smith maneuvered the boat in a frantic attempt to return to his girlfriend, but realizing the turn would take too long, he eventually jumped in the water and swam out to her. Smith brought Partridge to shore with the help of Boca Raton Beach lifeguards, and she was then transported to a local hospital where she was pronounced dead. Her mother would later tell a media outlet that she'd suffered an injury to the back of her head in the fall. Partridge's grieving father mentioned that she'd rented a 23-footer, while also noting that any boat below 30 feet shouldn't have been out in the area where the accident had occurred. Number 3. Olivia Khoo. Taiwanese supermodel Olivia Khoo was in 20-foot deep water at a popular tourist spot of Heng Chung Township in the southern Pingtung County in May of 2016. She was joined by representatives from her modeling agency, Elin, for a mermaid-themed underwater photo shoot. 25-year-old Khoo was described as an amateur diver with over 3 years of experience. Her social media featured photos of the model in marine environments, as she was often known to volunteer to dive and pick up refuse from the seabed. At some point during the afternoon photo shoot, Khoo began having problems while underwater. She was pulled from the ocean unconscious and later pronounced dead at a local hospital. Reports from Taiwanese media suggested that Khoo had suffered an asthma attack, which caused her to fatally choke on seawater. The model was survived by her husband and daughter. Elin was severely criticized for not having had professional divers on standby during the shoot. An investigation was launched, but the Coast Guard didn't immediately comment on the circumstances of the incident. They also didn't confirm rumors that for aesthetic reasons, a photographer had asked Khoo to remove her breathing apparatus prior to the dive. Today's topic was requested by Me D. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Tuckfield family. Australian man David Tuckfield, along with his wife and their teenage son, were fishing off the coast of Mandurah, south of Perth, on April the 15th of 2022. At some point during their day out on the ocean, the family captured a video of a massive great white shark approaching their boat. Estimated at close to 15 feet, the shark was the biggest of its kind that the family had ever seen. It was initially attracted to David's catch, but ended up circling the boat for about an hour. As shown by the since viral video, the predatory fish breached the water with its mouth open, revealing its sharp serrated teeth and causing Kunya, David's wife, to scream out in terror. The woman then remarked that the great white was trying to plunge its jaws into the boat's engine. After the unsuccessful attempt, it swam away. David was awed by the shark's strength, as he reportedly felt the whole boat move upon being hit by it. The Tuckfields were unhurt in the incident, which they described as the highlight of their Easter weekend, but their vessel was left slightly damaged. Number 1. MV Sewol. The sinking of the MV Sewol is one of the deadliest maritime disasters to have occurred in East Asia since the dawn of the 21st century. On the morning of April the 16th of 2014, the vessel was en route from Incheon towards Jeju in South Korea. As revealed by subsequent reports, at around 8:48, the ship made an unreasonably sudden turn to starboard. The captain was absent from the bridge at the time, and the move would be attributed to miscommunication between third mate Park Han-kyul and helmsman Chu Jun-ki. The abrupt turn caused the cargo to shift to port and the Sewol began to list, ultimately becoming unmanageable for the crew. Within the span of 20 seconds, the ship turned about 45 degrees to the right and then rotated an additional 22 degrees on the spot. It capsized and started to sink, leading to the death of 304 passengers and crew. Even though a distress signal had been sent out, roughly half of the 172 survivors were rescued by fishing boats and commercial vessels. 40 minutes before the country's Coast Guard arrived at the site, a considerable degree of public outrage followed the disaster, aimed at the captain, crew, and the ferry's operators, but also at local media and how President Park Geun-hye's government had reacted to the incident. In spite of the hundreds of deaths, the immediate reports falsely stated that everyone on board had been rescued. The government was criticized for what was perceived as a prioritization of public image over the lives of its citizens. The Seawolves navigators were deemed to have been chiefly responsible for the disaster, and on May the 14th of 2014, the captain and 3 crew members were charged with murder, while nearly a dozen other crewmen were indicted for abandoning the ship. Thanks for watching. Would you rather be lost in the Pacific on a raft or orbiting the Earth in a space capsule? Let us know in the comments section below.